One of the highlights of this year's Melbourne International Film Festival is a film called When Pomegranates Howl. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the director of that film, Granaz Moussavi. Granaz, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Hi, thank you very much.
Good to talk to you. And I still remember your previous film, My Tehran For Sale, which was quite an excellent film. What led you up to making When Pomegranates Howl? Because I read in the credits that it's inspired by a true story.
That's right. Back in 2013, coincidentally, I was watching ABC and I witnessed a piece of interview with the defense minister of the time. And it was on an incident, so-called incident, that we were involved in Afghanistan. And it affected me so much that I was really paralyzed, I think, for a couple of minutes. And as a filmmaker who also had access to the language in Afghanistan, I was very deeply affected and I thought I had to do something about it. And what I could do was really just trying to find out more about the details and write a script, which I did. And it took me a few years until I made the film and finished it in 2021.
Well, congratulations on writing the script, because it's such a powerful film about what's happening in Kabul and the Taliban, etc. And so tell me first of all about the shooting process, because once you've written the script, being able to film in Kabul must have been a bit of a challenge for you.
Yes, definitely. It was a big challenge making a film in a war zone, as you can imagine. I had the benefit of working with an Afghan-Australian producer who produced the film with myself and two other producers. I mean, they gradually joined the project, but we ended up being 4 producers. But anyway, the Afghan producer helped greatly in terms of obtaining permits and helping me to finding my ways around Afghanistan, because some of the actors came from other provinces, even though we filmed in Kabul. You know, I mean, finding non-actors was also a big challenge, and the danger of working in war zone, that every time that myself and the first ADs, we were location hunting or having meetings here and there. Whenever we came back to the car, my assistant had a long mirror that he inspected all around the car and underneath for magnetic bombs. But this was a routine that we did every time. There wasn't a week that you know, my life went without hearing vibrations and noise of an explosion around the place that I was living in, Kabul center. And it's quite a norm in Kabul, you know, whoever, journalists, you know, photographers, filmmakers, freelancers, whoever is working there, that's the life in war zone. So of course it's a big challenge, but I also have to confess that the bigger challenge was post-producing the film back in Australia, believe it or not. Like, making the film in war zone was far easier than producing a critical film with alternative narratives in Australia.
How interesting to hear that, and well done on doing that. Tell me about finding your cast, in particular the young boy who sells pomegranates and is the focus of the film, because they seem so natural in many respects. How did you find them and work with them?
It's always a big challenge working with non-actors, especially children. And I found them from different sources and found them in different avenues. My ADs, obviously, they were big help, especially one of my ADs who found the main character in his city of Jalalabad, which is east of Afghanistan. And I intended to pick my characters from various ethnicities in Afghanistan. That was an intention from the beginning. As I was writing the script, it was a fiction based on true events. So it allowed me freedom to alter the ethnicity of the actual characters, to expand it over various ethnicities in Afghanistan, both before the camera and behind the camera. So it was intentional to find non-actors from different backgrounds and ethnicities, which obviously demanded more search in different cities and provinces. So, I went to Kabul Circus, which is it's called circus. It's not really a circus. It's a place that street kids are gathered and trained, and for juggling and for motorcycle riding and all that. It's an NGO, a very respectable, valuable place for the kids in Kabul. So I approached them, and they agreed that if I run 10 sessions of workshop working with their children, teaching them how to act for camera, then I'll be able to audition them and speak to the families, and upon their agreement and blessing, then their children would be acting in the film, which I did. So it was like a mutual contribution from the circus and myself running the workshops for the kids. So that way, you're also giving something back to the place that you are, using as a resource. So that's the kind of things that freelancers and NGOs and people do in a place like Kabul to survive and to also maximize giving services as much as possible to people, and especially children over there. So that was how I ended up knowing children, auditioning them, speaking with their families, and through them I also was led to more children to audition more. Like one family introduced their extended family for more auditioning and so on. So it works like a dominoes, really.
Well, congratulations on that, because what a process you had to go through to make this film, which has so much to say. And I love the irony of the young boy who is the focus of the film, who wants to be a Hollywood actor. I thought that was quite amusing.
Yes. Yes, I have little motifs like that throughout the film, that the war is also, represented as a war game. When kids play, they also imitate war again. It's a war game. And when they want to be really appealing in what they do, then they say, oh, let's act like in American films. So these are all little motifs and parallels that are woven into the film and the script.
Exactly. And the other interesting motif or character is the Australian journalist, the photographer, who plays, as it turns out, an important part in the film.
Yes, that's right. Andrew Quilty is a very reputable and very capable freelancer, a photojournalist in Afghanistan who has documented war for many years, and people, victims and civilian casualties and their family and so on. So yes, I spoke with Andrew, and he was very generous to give us his personal experience as a backbone to his presence in the film. He's actually representing the good side of Australia, because it's obviously a very kind of tender and painful story that we are involved, whether we like it or not, but factually we are involved. But obviously it's not something that all of us wanted or intended or approve of it. So the fact says what it has been, but also Andrew Quilty represents the responsible, good-hearted, fair go, free side of Australia that we all value and wanted to be.
Okay, very, very interesting. Another interesting perspective, of course, is the role of women in Afghanistan, in Kabul, and I thought you've really represented that in a really powerful way, showing how women are sort of secondary, if you like, to whatever the men or the boys or whatever get up to. And I was wondering about that and your role as a female filmmaker in a male-dominated environment.
Yes, well, that is definitely part of the challenge, but also the film shows how powerful and, how powerful these women are, and they have some agency in the limited area of their, the application of that agency. For example, when it comes to the forced marriage, for example, the film also deals with, I think, the stereotypes that are into play, that it's always men who impose those kinds of things over women. It actually should be addressed more in terms of economy and the power balance and the power structure in the society rather than a gender-based thing, I believe. As you can see in the film, it's actually the grandmother, the elderly of the family, who suggests that to get out of poverty. So it's not actually the uncle. The uncle doesn't want it. The mother doesn't want it. Even the grandmother doesn't want it. But as a way out of poverty and as a way to deal with economical circumstance and dilemma, as well as the unbalanced power structure that has been deeply affected by 40 years of war, hasn't had time to mend itself and to heal its wounds. This is what we end up with. So men and women, they are both stuck in a situation that is definitely not balanced between men and women, and both men and women fall victim of this circumstance. So
Right.
that was, I know that it's a big, I try to,
Just broken up a little bit. Perhaps if you can say the last thing you said.
Sure. I know that it's it's an argument that needs it needs a lot of discussion, and it's a complete whole thesis to go about. But in terms of side stories and just connotations to that side of the issues in social structure, I just use that as side stories and some motifs in order to show how family structure and power imbalance and all that works in terms of families and society.
Well, you've certainly done that. It is quite a remarkable film, and it's great that the film has been selected as part of the Melbourne International Film Festival. And the film has been screened elsewhere, hasn't it?
Oh, yes. Yes, the film, I'm very grateful to Adelaide Film Festival for stepping forward when everywhere else practically in Australia failed to help this production. Basically, no other foundation wanted this film to be made. Didn't want Australian audience to see this story and this narrative. But I'm really grateful for Adelaide Film Festival to step forward and to give us premiere funding. So the film was premiered in, as our commitment, it was premiered in Adelaide Film Festival, but effectively the film was finished a few months after that in 2021. Because of COVID circumstance, I was not able to travel to South Australia where the film was being post-produced. So it took us a few months to actually finish the film after that premiere that was more of a work in progress. And after the film was finished, then we got the world premiere, or international premiere in Tokyo Film Festival. That was less than 24 hours, followed by Sao Paulo and then Tallinn. And then the film was a candidate at APSA, Asia Pacific Screen Awards. And then it just, followed its journey through other international film festivals, and now in MIFF, which again, I'm very grateful and honored to be part of.
What a journey, and how interesting to hear how the film is progressing. So apart from then at the Melbourne Film Festival, I gather you might be looking at rolling out the film elsewhere, because I can imagine European countries and other places would be very interested in your film.
Yes, I hope so. Well, the film is in the hands of two very good sales agents, one in Australia and one overseas. So Jonathan Page and Mohammad Atabai, they are looking after the film in Australia and overseas. So it's really in their hands for national and international sales and distribution. I definitely hope so. I mean, we've had some, the film is definitely has got a sensitive topic, but I believe that it needs to be seen. So let's see.
Okay, good luck with all of that. So tell me, Granaz, are you working on another film at the moment?
Yes, I've got two projects, and well, I'm not quite, as a team, we are not quite ready to announce that, but yes, I think soon. I have now linked with a very nice, capable producer in Adelaide, and I think when it's time, she and we are going to announce the next project, hopefully soon.
Good luck with it all. Look forward to your next film, because you've made two really strong films.
Thank you. Thanks very much for that.
We've been speaking to Granaz Moussavi, the director of When Pomegranates Howl, screening now as part of the Melbourne International Film Festival. Granaz, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.